Picture this: you wake up one day, look around, and it hits you, nothing in the world really cares about you or what you do. Whether you're brushing your teeth or chasing a big goal, it feels like it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But instead of feeling lost, what if this realization actually set you free? What if accepting life's absurdity could help you live with more meaning and joy? In this video, we'll show you how embracing the weirdness of life can lead to a deeper purpose, and how, in a world without clear answers, you can create your own way of living. Stick with us, because this could change the way you see everything. To live is to contend with absurdity. From the time we wake in the morning to the time we fall asleep, we are embroiled in a series of incongruities, non sequiturs, and contradictions. At the heart of our lives lies an unsettling, unshakable realization: we exist in a universe that is indifferent to us, yet we yearn for meaning, order, and reason. This paradox, between our human desire for significance and the indifferent nature of the universe, is the essence of the absurd. The question becomes, how should we live in such an existence? Absurdism, a philosophy most famously articulated by Albert Camus in his 1942 essay The Myth of Sisyphus, suggests that while life may inherently lack meaning, the human response to this meaninglessness is what defines us. The essence of the absurd condition is this: we are creatures of reason, attempting to impose our logic upon a world that is, by its nature, irrational. Camus argued that recognizing the absurdity of existence does not necessitate despair, rather, it invites us to embrace life with a spirit of rebellion and freedom. The art of living an absurd existence is, paradoxically, the art of finding value and vitality in the face of life's inherent meaninglessness. To grasp the art of living in absurdity, we must first understand the absurd condition. Imagine, for a moment, the human mind as a lighthouse, casting beams of meaning across a dark, infinite ocean. These beams represent our attempts to illuminate the world with purpose, hope, and logic. But the ocean, the universe, does not care about our illumination. It remains vast, unyielding, and indifferent. The absurd arises from the clash between the mind's desire for clarity and the universe's indifference to that desire. Absurdism is not nihilism. Nihilism, in its extreme form, denies the existence of any meaning, any morality, and any purpose. Absurdism, however, acknowledges the tension between our desire for meaning and the universe's silence. We are constantly engaged in a search for meaning, yet we must confront the fact that our efforts may be futile. One of the most iconic metaphors for this condition is the Greek myth of Sisyphus, a figure condemned to roll a boulder up a mountain, only for it to roll back down every time he nears the top. Camus saw Sisyphus as a symbol of the human condition, forever struggling against a task that can never be completed. Despite the futility, Sisyphus continues his labor, and in that persistence, Camus finds a certain heroism. He famously concluded that one must imagine Sisyphus happy. This is the absurd hero's rebellion, acknowledging the futility of existence while choosing to live fully and defiantly within it. The first step in mastering the art of living an absurd existence is embracing the notion that traditional sources of meaning, such as religion, societal expectations, or external validation, may ultimately fail us. Instead, we must learn to find meaning internally, through personal experiences, creative pursuits, relationships, and individual acts of rebellion against the absurd. One approach is to focus on the immediacy of life, rather than on grand, overarching narratives. This idea is rooted in existentialism, a philosophy closely related to absurdism. Existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre argued that humans create their own meaning through their choices and actions. The absurd does not negate the possibility of living well, it simply removes the false assurances that our lives have predetermined or inherent significance. We must live authentically, making choices that align with our own values, not because we believe those values are cosmic truths, but because they reflect the individuals we wish to be. Camus advocated for a similar approach, though he distanced himself from existentialism. For Camus, the absurd man lives without appeal to any higher authority. He does not rely on an afterlife, divine intervention, or destiny to guide his choices. Instead, he seeks to experience the fullness of life here and now. This is not hedonism, rather, it is an embrace of life's richness in all its forms: joy, suffering, pleasure, and pain. Each moment becomes valuable, not because it is part of a larger plan, but because it is a part of life itself. Consider the absurd hero who goes about their daily routine, fully aware that none of their actions will have lasting significance in the cosmic sense. They may work, love, create, or learn, all while knowing that, eventually, they will die and their actions will be forgotten. Yet, they do not despair. Instead, they find beauty and purpose in the act of doing. It is not the end result that matters, but the process, the living itself. Another essential element of living an absurd existence is humor. Absurdity often reveals itself in the form of irony, life's unexpected juxtapositions, contradictions, and nonsensical twists. By cultivating a sense of humor about life's absurdity, we can prevent ourselves from being overwhelmed by despair. Laughing in the face of absurdity is not an act of denial, rather, it is a recognition of the absurd for what it is, a contradiction that cannot be solved. Comedy, at its heart, often thrives on absurdity. The very structures of our societies, our relationships, and our identities are ripe for comedic exploration because they are built on assumptions that often fall apart under scrutiny. For example, we can look at the absurdity of modern life, the rituals of corporate culture, the contradictions of consumerism, and the arbitrary nature of social conventions, and see them for what they are: human constructs that do not necessarily align with our deeper needs for meaning or connection. By recognizing and laughing at these absurdities, we distance ourselves from their power over us. The great Russian author Fyodor Dostoevsky explored the absurd in his novels, particularly in The Brothers Karamazov and Notes from Underground. His characters often confront the futility of their lives, yet they also grapple with the need for faith, purpose, and morality. Dostoevsky's works are filled with moments of profound humor that arise from the contradictions inherent in human existence. Likewise, the playwright Samuel Beckett captured the absurdity of life in his minimalist plays like Waiting for Godot, where characters engage in repetitive, pointless conversations while waiting for a person who never arrives. The humor in Beckett's work stems from the recognition of life's futility, yet his characters persist, continuing to wait and talk despite the absence of any real resolution. Humor, in this sense, becomes a tool of resistance. It allows us to stand apart from the absurd, to view it from a perspective that diminishes its oppressive weight. The absurd is something to be laughed at, not feared. For many, the creative process offers another avenue for embracing the absurd. Art, literature, music, and other forms of expression provide opportunities to engage with the absurd condition in a way that transforms it into something beautiful, poignant, or thought-provoking. Creativity is, in itself, an act of rebellion against the absurd. When we create, we impose order and meaning on a chaotic world, even if only temporarily. A poem, a painting, or a piece of music may not have any lasting significance in the grand scheme of things, but it has immediate significance to the creator and those who experience it. Absurdist art often reflects the tension between order and chaos, meaning and meaninglessness. The Dada movement, which emerged during World War I, embraced absurdity as a response to the horrors and irrationality of war. Dadaist works were intentionally nonsensical, rejecting traditional notions of art in favor of playful, chaotic forms of expression. Surrealism, too, explored the absurd by delving into the unconscious mind and presenting dreamlike, irrational images. Salvador Dali's melting clocks and the persistence of memory symbolize the fluidity and absurdity of time itself. Surrealism, like absurdism, seeks to break free from the constraints of logic and reason, allowing us to experience the world in new, often unsettling ways. For the individual, the act of creation is an affirmation of life, even in the face of absurdity. By producing something new, we assert our presence in the world. We may not be able to solve the riddle of existence, but we can add to it, shape it, and contribute to the ongoing dialogue of what it means to be human. Living an absurd existence requires courage. It requires the ability to confront the meaninglessness of life without succumbing to nihilism or despair. The absurd hero finds strength not in certainty or faith, but in the willingness to continue living despite the lack of guarantees. The art of living in absurdity is a delicate balance. On one hand, we must recognize that life's meaning is not handed to us by any external force. On the other hand, we must resist the temptation to fall into despair or apathy. The absurd is a challenge to be met with defiance, humor, and creativity. It is a call to live fully, authentically, and freely in a world that offers no easy answers. In this way, the absurd existence becomes an opportunity. It invites us to live without pretense, to find joy in the immediate, to create meaning on our own terms, and to laugh in the face of life's contradictions. The absurd may be inescapable, but it does not have to be a source of suffering. It can be the very thing that liberates us to live with greater vitality and purpose than ever before. In the end, we are all Sisyphus, pushing our boulders up the mountain. But like Camus, we can imagine Sisyphus happy, not because his task has any ultimate meaning, but because he has chosen to live fully within the absurd, embracing his existence with courage, creativity, and a sense of irony. This, perhaps, is the true art of living an absurd existence. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.